I'd like to ask you about your citizenship, because obviously you were born in Britain, but now you're an American citizen.
Yes.
How do you kind of square that circle? Because obviously it's a nation which is led traditionally by, very religious, very believing people. It seems to go against a little bit what your philosophies might be.
Answering your question in reverse, not dodging it, our new president, I'm practically sure, is not a believer. I mean, in the book that he wrote before he realized he was going to run for president, which is a good test, he writes about his very convincing way that his mother explained to him that religion was essentially baseless. He later explains that if you're going to be in politics in Chicago, you'd better have a church to go to. That's a different point from faith. He made a very, very secular, highly secular inaugural address, and he's made some very interesting remarks since then about the dangers of establishing faith in politics. But generally, you're right. Though America's much less religious than most people believe, it's pretty religious. I took out papers of citizenship because of my solidarity with America against theocracy. I mean, as it happens, this quite religious country has been the one to take on the Taliban and Al-Qaeda and similar forces around the globe. Maybe without wishing to, but in fact doing so. And I wanted to show that I identified with that.
And is that how you justify supporting, say, the war in Iraq? Because obviously, if you read your history, having been at one point very much on the left of political thinking,
yes,
it now seems that in supporting Bush and going into Iraq, that will put you very squarely on the right.
I would say not, because if you look at the drapeau, the flag in my lapel, which is that of the Iraqi Kurds, almost all of my Iraqi Kurdish friends are old leftists, old strugglers against fascism. The Iraqi left, non-Kurdish, Arab Iraqi left, likewise, long struggle against Saddam Hussein. My solidarity with La Gauche in Iraq is the main reason why I took the position that I did. After all, it was Clinton and Gore who said, we will have to take out Saddam Hussein. It was the British Labour Party that first said there'll have to be a confrontation with him under Tony Blair in 1999, long before Bush was elected. And it's the extreme right, not just in France, but in England and in the United States, the Pat Buchanan isolationist right wing that opposes the war. So it isn't really a flat-out left-right issue, but to the extent that it's left, the duty of the left is solidarity with its Iraqi comrades, and that's one thing I can say I've done, I think.
You look British, you sound British, but you're American now, as you say. The thing that gets me, I suppose, is how does someone who is British become American? Because very often, although, we have a common language, we're divided
Yes.
by it, as Oscar Wilde hinted at, and it seems that our values and our cultures are very different. How do you find yourself at home there?
There's such a thing as being Anglo-American, I think. I mean, which is different, by the way, from being British-American or English-American. You can be Italian-American. The word exists. Jewish-American, the word exists. African-American, the term exists. British and English-American, no, not quite. It's different, but I suppose partly because we were there first.
Simple as that.
Partly because it's our language, common, though, as you say, that's controversial. Partly because most of the people who signed the Declaration of Independence were English gentlemen farmers of one kind or another. And the moral author of the Declaration wasn't a gentleman or a farmer. He was an artisan and a worker and a striver and a radical, Thomas Paine, about whom I wrote a book, Thomas Paine and the Rights of Man.
Okay.
Also who wrote The Age of Reason, which, just to bring us back,
Sure.
was the first popular book to say that the Bible was man-made and fictitious.
Okay, I'm going through God is Not Great in French, but also you've done a piece in Newsweek about the Pope's denial problem, and you feel, just being very sort of actual now and getting right to the point of the story
Indeed.
That's very big at the moment. Is the Pope wrong to bring back the bishops that were excommunicated into the Church?
I think the Pope must have realized in the last couple of weeks that he made a hideous mistake in preferring unity with this expelled and derided and tiny, unrepresentative faction to any concept of the dignity of the Church. Not that that's my problem particularly, but one thing that you could have said since the Second Vatican Council is the Church had made a good faith attempt to right the wrongs that it had inflicted on the Jewish people in the past, that it had admitted this and sought to redress it. To throw all that out just to reconcile with this crackpot sect that doesn't just say that the Jews, all of them, killed Christ, and every Jew is guilty eternally. not as collectively responsible, but collectively guilty. Not only that, but it says that the United States organized the attack upon itself on September the 11th, 2001. Ludicrous, paranoid, 10th-rate, neo-fascist babble. What's the Pope doing with these people? Dans cette galère.
Christopher
He
Hitchens.
condemns himself, I think, and I think it may be the thing he's most remembered for.
I'm afraid we've run out of time, but just to remind everyone again, the book God Is Not Great, out now in French, of course available in English, and has been for a number of years. Christopher, thank you very much for joining us here on France 24.
Very good of you to have me.
Pleasure to have you.
Appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us too. Stay with us.